All right, what's up, familia? Welcome inside the pad. Hope you guys are doing good. Keep in between the lines. Got your load secure. All right, man. I got a nice special guest here. I've been following this guy for a minute or two, man. I first caught on to him. Well, you know what? We'll get to that. But hey, man, I'm talking about Chicano ideas. My man, introduce yourself, homie.
Yo, what's up? I'm with Chicano Ideas. Is my YouTube channel. My name's Rudy. Um, you could my Instagram is Famous Wolf because Rudy and Famous Wolf means the same thing. So, but pretty much, I'm actually 31. I look young, but I started my YouTube channel about 6 years ago already in 2015. So I was about 25 years old, and I just started it off. The inspiration of watching, the brothers, people like the Muslims and people that are like Dr. Boyce Watkins, who ran and started his own Black business school to help bring people within his community knowledge about business, owning money, what to invest in. And I came across groups within our own community, like the Mexica movement and Oakland Latinos United, and a guy named Nawi, and that stuff just inspired me. And even though where my education level may not be the best, something from watching these people, something you just gotta go for it, whether if you feel comfortable or not. Because if I would have waited till today to start my channel, I would have probably never been talking to you right now if I didn't start it, 6 years ago. But I just was looking for, Chicanos, wondering if there's Chicanos out there with the creative mind. Like, is people watching the stuff that I'm watching? Like, is people thinking the way that I'm thinking? Like, are people seeing this stuff? Like when I see the Hebrew Israelites speak on the streets and they say these are the chosen people, I'm asking our people, what do you think about this? Like, what do you think about the Muslims? What do you think about colonialism? These are the questions and stuff that I like to talk about. And I just wondered if there was anybody else out there thinking like this. And that's why I started my channel, trying to reach out, trying to even start conversation. Even if people are not into this, I was wanting to start conversations and get people to think about it. So it was just about wondering if there's any influence out there amongst the community, and maybe if I could find it, and if I could find the people who could help at the same time while I'm searching, maybe they're searching too. And I came across people like Abel Muhammad and Oakland Latinos United and various people that I've done interviews with, like this guy named Paki. He makes crochets, beautiful Mexican crochets, and he's a PhD and medic, and just so many activists that I've met amongst the 5 years that I've been learning and that I've learned from over the internet. And that's what I was looking for. And that's, as someone who grew up, a typical Cholo, young Chicano kid. And so for me, uh, that's, I just always even been into learning, but I didn't understand that, until you get older, it's okay to learn, because even growing up and within being a teenager, and some homies don't know how to think. They don't like to think. They think it's not cool to think. Like I always remember when me and a couple of buddies were talking about space and the sky. And one guy's like, "You're into that? Like, you like to talk about that? Why not? Like, some of us don't know how to think more than our neighborhood, more than just 9 to 5, our job, and come home and, take care of our kids. And, not everybody, I guess, has it in them, because I feel like even as when I was 17, I started asking my friends and my family, like, what is your goals? What is your dreams? Like, do you feel like you're meant to be somebody in life? And not everybody felt like that. Not everybody, I guess, feels like they need to be somebody in life or feel special. I thought, because I always hear people say that everybody has this, but when I ask people, a lot of people really don't feel like that. And so I just started my channel just wanting to reach out, just like we were having our own personal conversation, just being really open-minded. Like some of the stuff that I talk about, like, I remember people just telling me, why am I talking about this? Stick to just talking about Chicano stuff, but I just like sharing everything. I'm more like, I have a philosophy state of mind. Like I wanted it to be like the Mexica movement, like guys in there are experts about like, they know native tribes and they could name all this stuff, like this statue. But then I had more of a philosophy mind, more just like, why is this and why was that, than to try to be like a specialist on just like understanding, the native people. Like, so that's just what I'm about. I
Yeah.
just have a real open mind. Like,
Yeah, yeah, man. And believe me, dog, I want to talk to you about all that stuff, man. But let's talk about you. So you said you grew up, like the whole cholo style, and man, you hit it on the nail, dog, right on the head for me about the whole learning. Man, when I was a kid, it was the same thing. It was like
mhm,
learning was not it wasn't embraced, man. It was not
mhm,
pushed on anybody. It was just kind of like what I let dog, just about the neighborhood, just about the
yeah,
streets, and that's it, man. Even just regular school education, whatever. It wasn't looked at as anything like, that's lame, homie, or anybody wanted to learn about anything. It's like that's lame, dog. You know what I mean? Just kick
yeah,
it with the homies, dog, and let's go out and do whatever and all that. Just all it really does is just hold people back. But
right.
let's talk about you, home. So where did you grow up?
Well, I grew up in Sacramento most of my life, but most of my family's from like San Jose, and we came out here from San Jose to Sacramento,
Mhm.
and I moved back and forth. Went back and forth most of my young, like back to San Jose, back to Sacramento, but overall, Sacramento's my home. This is where I mostly am remembered, where I've been. Also, I came back when I was 20 and I've been here ever since. But as a kid, from like under 20, like I was back and forth, like growing up around Northern California, Modesto, San Jose, and Sacramento. Uh, but so yeah, I grew up in Sacramento. It's my hometown.
Yeah, yeah, man. That's cool. I hear a lot about San Jose. San Jose. I've never actually. I've gone through San Jose, but never actually stopped there and kicked it. I've actually gone to Sacramento
Okay.
and spent a little bit of time right there, man. And so you went to school in both places, San Jose and Sacramento.
Uh, yes, actually, well, because I moved back to San Jose in 2007 while I was in high school here, I did get to go to high school in Santa Clara. So yes, I did get to spend some time out there, and it's a cultural difference between San Jose and Sacramento, because from watching like all the channels, even just from knowing, and it's even backed up, like San Jose was always more like a little LA, unlike Sacramento, San Francisco, or Oakland, which is, it makes sense. Growing up out here in Sacramento, like when I would dress like a cholo, uh, the kids who claim Southside would
Yeah.
say that I'm trying to dress like a sureño, like I'm trying to dress like them. And all the brothers would be like, why are you dressing like that? My homies who are supposed to be northerners would be like, why do you dress like that? Because it's not, it wasn't, it didn't last, uh I guess outside the 90s between Oakland, Frisco, and Sacramento, like it did in San Jose, where there's mostly Crips and Norteños and Sureños, where unlike Frisco and Oakland, you always hear they're more about street gangs. And so in Sacramento, like where I grew up, is considered, I grew up, which is the east part of Sacramento. And so like it's a real cultural difference because like I remember I tried that little stilo. Like I was tried sagging my pants and because some of the homies encouraged it. Like, bro, you need to
Right.
sag your pants more. Like
Mm.
you need to you know, why don't for people who encourage you to say nigga a little bit, like man, say nigga a little bit, and people
Oh,
will admit,
really? Okay.
yeah,
Okay.
as a kid,
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
more as a kid,
Uh,
like, and even kids admit as they grow, like, because I would ask, well, why do you say it? Well, just because everybody else says it. So,
mm,
like when I was swaying to be like almost like a brother, to put it maybe like even to be almost a blood or a paru, because we got parus on my side of town.
okay.
And like because there's not a lot of Chicano influence, and especially in my part of town, like there's the least influence. And like people don't even know there's a Mexican gang in my part of town because we're so small. But So it's just like when I would be walking down the street dressing like a cholo, I would get chased by the brothers, by the blacks. They would think I
Mm,
was a South Sider. I would get stuff thrown at me. Uh, they it's just even also like when I was talking with Clown Logue, it was just also the Mexicans here were more of a newer generation. My family, we're like 5 generation deep. So like
okay.
I understood what being Chicano was. I understood that that Cholo identity is not just a Sureño thing. It's not
Right.
just an LA thing. So
Right.
there was no information really being put out like that in my part of town. So it was always like I stood out because of the way I dressed, and because after the 6th grade, when I ain't gonna lie, I didn't feel it. Like I did. I sagged my pants. I was trying to say blood a little bit, and like because the way the younger generation was not laced up too much, you would mix it. You would say Norte blood, or like you
Okay.
know it would be mixed. And then my uncles, they're like came back up from San Jose, and they're like, nah, like like no, like, but I'm like, they're both red. Like it don't matter. Like that has nothing to do with it. And then so like from there you could say I started getting laced up with negative influence, but in the same way it was like so I don't steer being a blood. At the same way, my uncle only started lacing me up because he seen I was swaying one way anyways.
Mm.
So he was so yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah, I gotta tell you, man, I've had this conversation before. Is like being down here in Southern California, man. Uh I was always I always thought that up north they always had that stilo,
yeah,
that more urban blackish sagging pant, calling each other the N-word kind of stilo and stuff, man.
yeah,
But come to find out that's not the case,
right,
and then you watch a movie like La Misión. I watched that movie. I actually enjoyed that movie, to tell you the
yeah,
truth, man. It trips you out a little bit, but I actually enjoy that movie. And you see, the main character, Che, and
right,
the way his stilo is, his get down, everything like that. And I'm like,
right,
all right, man. And then you see the youngsters in that movie and how they're
right,
acting. I'm like, oh man, and talking to people, man, they laced me up that once
right,
upon a time up there was that whole old school, stilo and the lingo, the talk and everything.
right,
And from what I understand, and let me know if I'm wrong, man, this from what I understand, it started changing because they wanted to separate themselves away from what you would call the upstate sureños. They wanted to
no,
separate themselves from that. And maybe that has something to do with it. I don't know, man. That's just kind of like what I caught, man.
right.
What would you make of that?
Uh, maybe in like a town like I live in, I would say of just like how because Mexicans in San Jose, there's generations of Chicanos, so they understand cultural and what is being a cholo. But in a town like Sacramento, right, where I feel like when I moved here as a kid, the generation was younger. So their influence was what they see on hip hop and all the majority of brothers being more popular and all that. And the only people that dressed one way was the kids who claim Southside. So it doesn't make sense for like the first, second generation kids swayed away from that, because like someone like me who had that banging mentality, if you're dressed like that, we would just assume, no, you're that. We don't care if you say you're just dressed like that, because Mexicans would just dress like that because that was just a style. But
Right.
it became too much of being a target, I feel like. So if you were dressing like that, you have to back yourself up. Just like when you hear about anytime somebody in LA, you heard when they were wearing Cortezes, someone automatically hits you up. So when
Yeah.
you had if you were dressed like that, you're gonna get hit up. So in a way, it's like people want to gravitate away from that. The cops are gonna stop you automatically. Other Mexicans are gonna approach you, and if you're like a first generation kid and you're just dressed like that just because you see your favorite rappers from LA dressing like that, while you come up north, you learn that's not the thing, so you're going to gravitate away from that. Because I've seen that. I've seen while it was changing. Like I remember like kids who we would say who are more Mexican, first generation. Next year, he just looked like what we would say a paisa kid. He comes to school the next year, he has the puffy jacket. He's getting more hip hop. I see the generation within my age of Mexicans changing that style, because you're, like I was saying, you don't want to be hit up dressing like a cholo, but because they understand, Little Rob was their favorite rapper, but you dress like that up here, you're gonna get hit up by the brothers and Mexicans. So you're getting hit up by not just Mexicans, but the blacks too. So it's even harder.
Yeah.
But in a town like San Jose, where it's dominated by Chicanos, and I feel like Chicanos keep it old school for some reason. We want a little tradition, like we're stuck in a ways a little bit. San Jose was more slower on gravitating towards like that hip hop style. Like, so yeah, San Jose was mostly this city known, and of course, like there's other little small towns that people know, like Gilroy, people will say, or Salinas, but because San Jose is a big city, people noticed it more. So it was San Jose, I could say, was one of the latest towns that didn't gravitate so quick. But now the generation is within this past decade swaying away less and less from being like a cholo, because no one wants to get hit up. Like you get stopped by the cops, and like I was saying, and et cetera, et cetera. So yeah.
Yeah. You know what? I'm glad you kind of broke that down, man. When people just think about Northern California, it's just orale, just Northern California, and that's just it. It's just Northern
Right.
California, but you're breaking it down in sections. It's the same thing down here. It's not just orale, dog. It's just Southern Cali, and that's it. Nah, there's different sections, and different sections have their own kind of somewhat of a get down. It's
Right.
happening down. It's been happening for many years down here as well. If
Right.
you just take Los Angeles County.
Mhm.
If you're from the east side, the San Gabriel Valley, the southeast, places like that, man, even San Fernando Valle, northeast LA. If you're from those places, those kind of have like the more old school traditional, what you would say Cholo Chicano kind of stilo, right? Not to
Mhm.
say that you're gonna find like straight out old school vatos looking like Chuco or anything from
Mhm.
Boulevard Nights, but
Yeah,
that's
yeah.
that they keep the more traditional. That's where I'm from. Keep it the
Okay.
more traditional kind of stilo for the most part. Not everybody's like that. And then you could go to other places like West Los, South LA, places in the harbor area, and their stilos again be a little bit different. They'll be a little bit more grimy, more of what people would say urban.
Mhm.
Again, it's not gonna be everybody across the board,
Right.
but yeah, there's gonna be different stilos here and there, man. So it's not just orale dog, SoCal has this stilo and that's the stilo all the way across the board. Nah, it's not like that. So I like the way you broke it down, man. with
Right.
how it is up in Northern California, man. And you know, all your followings, everything that you, I've been watching some of your videos, man, and I like a lot of things that you a lot of things that you open your mind up to. Like you said, it's not so much the traditional stuff. You and I were talking before we start recording, and you know, there is just that kind of mindset that a la raza, just like that's the clecha that one needs. And you, man, you're a little bit more open to all this other stuff. Let me ask you, man, do you consider yourself an activist?
I would say a low level one
Okay.
because activism, there's levels, and even from learning about what is activism, just by me speaking out and asking questions, that's kind of considered activism. But I would say on a low tier because I'm not out there making organizations and groups and et cetera and et cetera. So yeah, that's how I would say it's low tier stuff because when you're speaking up and speaking, that's kind of considered there's degrees to me, and I'm at low level somewhat.
Okay.
Maybe if you wanna, but
It
yeah.
do do you want to like climb in that level? I mean, you're talking about levels. Do you want to climb, or
Uh,
you're okay just kind of doing your own thing and just
like
learning?
right now, maybe in the future if it's possible, with the right people. It's about being able to connect with the right people and be able to agree with them and disagree with them and still be cordial at the same time. That's what the group's about to me.
Yeah.
So it's hard to be able to disagree with somebody and agree with them, but yet function together to build together still. So
You
yeah.
know what, man? You are dead on right there, man. It's hard to disagree with somebody. I mean, for certain individuals, you
Yeah,
know,
yeah, yeah.
that's all really kind of what I'm about. It's like, hey, man, you know what? We don't gotta agree, but let's respect each other.
Yeah.
You know, we don't have to agree. We can have a good conversation, and at the end of the conversation, if we still disagree, all right, then we'd still disagree. It doesn't make us enemies. It doesn't make, you know, you're wrong, I'm right, or vice versa, or we can't slap hands, homie, and you know, kick it or anything like that, man. It just means that, all right, dog, you know, you're on this path, I'm on that path, but hey, we
Hmm.
can still, you know, we can still shake hands, man. And that's kind of tough for a lot of people to do. I've noticed that for many years, and it seems like it's getting worse, man. It's getting tougher
Right.
for people to accept somebody else how they think and their beliefs,
Right.
man. And
Yeah.
even having just a conversation, it's like, no, it has to turn into an argument. It has to turn into a fight. It's like, no,
Yeah.
I mean, it doesn't. How do you run into a lot of that?
I did in the beginning with family and friends about when I was learning history and talking about colonialism. So yeah, I did. And then eventually I just well, from talking and or not talking, but somewhat talking and learning from other activists, I already knew this was gonna happen. So I was ready for it because I pay attention. Like if these activists who are way older than me and been doing it, they said this is what's gonna happen. Your family's gonna act this way. And it was true. But I just wanted to experience still. I had to feel it, get it more of an understanding in it. So in the beginning, I was uh, getting into lightweight, hard debates and arguments about getting over what am I talking about colonialism or especially colonialism. Like we need to get over that. I would hear, um, and it's just certain ways of just while. It just comes down to what I would tell people. It just depends on if it's for you or not. If you want to move to for it or not for it. Like I was saying when we were just talking, not everybody feels it inside. Like one person I said there was a family member, is it what I said the same thing to him. And we were talking about this, and I said, well, uncle, this is not meant for you then. it's not meant for you to go on YouTube. But in my heart, for some reason, it's meant for me. It's not desired for you to do this and speak up, but I don't know why I feel like I have to. So like, you know, not it's not meant for everybody is what I just started learning to tell. Like it's not meant for you then, bro. So, you know, there's no reason to talk. You're not inspired by it. So, you know, I am. That's the difference. Like there's no point of talking about it. You're not gonna do nothing and about it, and you're kind of just where like not understanding why I'm into it, you know, and why do I want to talk about it. But so that's just what I tell people. It's not for everybody, is what I had to learn as I get older. And so if you don't have no desire to want to be creative or speak up about something, then then there's no point of us talking. Like this
Right.
is, yeah, because like even when you lay down truthful truthful history or what is real, like not even based off hate, like some people just still, like you could see on their face they don't like that you just explain to them in a good, articulate, kind of non-hateful way. So then it's just like it's not for you then, bro. Like that's just me. I want to go out to these protests and do my channel. So that's just what I basically had in the beginning. Yes. Now I just say it's either not for you or this is not for everybody. And you know,
And you know what, Rudy, Sergio, man, I would love, hey, man, we gotta have those conversations. I would love
yeah.
to talk to you about all that stuff, man, and we will. But for right now, man, we're gonna bring this to an end. Any shout outs, man? Anything
Uh,
that you want to put out there, big dog?
one thing I will say to people, we should have did this yesterday. I was misplaced my time, irresponsible with myself, and this could have been done. But now the link, everything's figured out. So next time we send the link, it'll be faster, quicker. And but I will say to you, on the next time we talk, I seen your video on why is it okay for everybody to talk about white people. And I got something. I seen that and I was like, if I ever talk to him, this is gonna be the first video I bring up.
Let's do it, man. I can't wait, man. That's
Yeah.
some good stuff. You guys can go check out my boy Rudy at Chicano Ideas on YouTube. Where else can they find you, homie?
Instagram famouswolf.24.
All right, man. And that's where we're gonna end it for now, only for now, man. But as always, familia, live your life like you're on the road, be aware of surroundings, and always keep a safe distance. Blood makes you lit it, but loyalty makes you family. Till next time, this is the Thecholotrucker from my boy Rudy from Chicano Ideas. Over and out.